Enter into our 8,000 Christmas gem giveaway by downloading Raid, Shadow Legends, and Summoner's War and beating their tutorials. Enter into it in the description down below. Hello, everybody. We are here with your Artio guide. Going to be playing Artio solo. Last time we did her in support. This time, going to be doing her over in the solo lane. Artio right now recently got a little buff, not a huge buff. They slightly increased her buff that she gets to 6 seconds. Used to be 4 seconds. They also slightly increased the duration of her debuff that she gives out from 4 seconds to 6 seconds. And they reduced the mana cost on her first ability. So that is the recent buffs that she has gotten. Artio is popping up in popularity though, regardless of those recent changes. And that is mostly because we've entered into a little bit more of a sustain healer meta. And she actually does provide a fair amount of heals to the team. So we're going to be grabbing our one first as we're starting over here in the jungle. In our druid stance, this is going to be our heal when we hit enemy gods. And in our bear form, this is going to be our more damaging maul attack. This is also going to be the ability that we are maxing out and leveling up first. Gonna wait for this first little minion wave to spawn. Then I'm gonna use my ability, wait for the second one to spawn. Then I use my ability. Just minimize some of the damage that I'm taking over here. Making sure to use those AoEs after those little ghost minions spawn on the blue buff. Ooh, I'm gonna get in range actually of both these melee minions. And the Hercules didn't. That means I'm actually gonna have quite a bit of an advantage over here. Took him a long time to clear that blue buff, so I'm actually gonna need the level 2 first. So I'm gonna be able to play very aggressive into this. So I'm gonna go immediately switch over to my root. I'm gonna switch over right here. Keep just using all my abilities. Make sure I'm getting in auto attacks in between everything. And we're not gonna be able to get the kill, but we're gonna be able to get a ton of lane pressure right there. Artio, because she has a stance switcher, it means that her damage output in the early game is very, very high. Now, I have started off with a blink as my active, and so is Hercules. I'm going to put out an aggressive ward right here. I want to go fairly aggressive on this Hercules. I kind of want him to use his abilities first, though, because if I get driving strike pulled into that tower, I'm still going to be in trouble. Whenever you are playing against a Hercules, you have to make sure that you're being careful. Even if you get him low, if you get too close to that tower, that is bad. You are going to be in very much a bad position. Now, his blink has been used, so that's good. At least I don't have to worry about his blink. You can see how badly he wanted to blink, throw me into the tower. Getting complete lane control against Hercules for this reason is a little awkward. Now, you want to get these minions under tower, because if they get hit by the tower, he's going to miss out on a lot of gold. You just have to make sure that you're not at risk of getting pulled underneath the tower while trying to make sure he's missing out on as much XP as possible. Also, when playing Artio, make sure you're using your 3 for that ranged poke so you can get your Warrior's Blessing stacks going. It's a really easy way just to go ahead, throw down, even if you want to use it mostly on the wave, just throw down one tick onto the enemy solo laner so you're getting that Warrior's Blessing proc every time that it comes up. Just keep an eye on your little item bar. It'll have that little ticker to let you know when the next time you can proc it is. So you can just keep switching over to it. Get that Warrior's Blessing all stacked up. Nice and easy peasy. Don't even have to worry about it. In the solo lane, the types of matchups that we're looking to go into is anybody that is reliant on movement abilities. So Hercules is actually not a bad matchup at all for us on Artio, because if we get him in a bad spot, we switch over to our druid form and we use our AoE cripple. That is our second ability. That AoE cripple decimates any god reliant on movement. Now, the most prominent god that comes to mind is Arthur. Arthur is extremely reliant on his movement. And so if you're against an Arthur, that is the dream for Artio. But anybody, like Hercules needs to move for his driving strike, so I can prevent him from using his driving strike and getting away. So I can just walk up right to him right now, and now he's just stuck here. Now he's just got to sit here and tank all of this to the dome, and I get all of that damage off for free. He was like, oh, I'm going to walk up to the wave. I'm going to use my driving strike. I'm going to get myself right out of here. No, sirree, Bob. Not on my watch. You're not. At level 5, I like to grab a second point. A third point in my 1. So your ultimate is really just a passive. It's not honestly that important. The biggest thing you're going to get from this is MP5. The MP5 is nice, but particularly when you're in the solo lane, you're always going to have the blue buff, which means you don't actually need the MP5 that bad. So I tend to not level up. I tend to not level up Artio's ultimate, and I get the 1 max out, and I get the 3 maxed out as fast as humanly possible for the increase in the damage and the healing. Now remember that your 1 on Artio in Druid form is a team heal. So as long as you hit that on an enemy god, that's going to go out and heal everybody on your team. It's very important. But your little sustain that you get on your 3, that is just for you. So that is not going to be a team heal. That's just a little self-sustain. But you do have 2 self-sustaining abilities in your kit. Because of that, some of the things that we don't like going against as an Artio, we don't like to go against 2 particular things. 1, gods that are not reliant on movement abilities at all. And this mostly goes across the board. This isn't just about laning phase. This is about the whole game. So you want to be going against gods that are super reliant on a movement ability. A Merlin in the mid lane. Wonderful for Artio to go against, because you get in range of him and then he can't use his flicker to get out, dude, and then he's just a sit and duck Marlin. Beautiful. They've got a Ra in middle this game. Ra, not the character you want to be going against on Artio. He's got a bunch of movement speed. You can't effectively cripple him and ruin his day. Now I'm gonna start proxy farming right around this point. I've got a lead over here in solo. I'm feeling pretty confident, so I'm gonna start playing more aggressive and playing farther forward. He is waiting to secure this with his driving strike. He is gonna get it, but he's gonna put himself way into this blue buff. So now I'm gonna just start using all of my abilities. Gonna use my stun to get a position on him, go in front of him. Now I'm gonna use my 2 once again to cripple, just in case he gets enough mana, regenning from that blue in order to use his driving strike, and we're gonna grab the kill. Just gonna start walking away gently from this Kali, pop my health potion, and she's not gonna be able to get out of it. Or excuse me, she's not gonna be able to put me down, and I'll be able to get out of it for free. Make sure you're grabbing as many totems as you can for your team. Totems in the solo lane are particularly important for the first 5 minutes of the game. After the first 5 minutes of the game, they're a lot less important. The MP5 at the early stages of the game is crucial, particularly for the mid lane. If you've ever been a mid laner and you get those first couple of early totems, it helps you not have to back right away when maybe you were gonna have to back. And that kind of presence, being able to get that hashtag 1 more wave, is really important to get that item, which might lead to a kill, which might lead to an objective, all that. After the first 5 minutes, if you can get the totem, that's great, but always prioritize your farm before the totem after the first 5 minutes. For the first 5 minutes, I would argue that the totem is really beneficial for your team. Not even to mention the extra gold that you get that can help your team finish those items early. But after the first 5 minutes of the game, always make sure you're getting a jungle camp, your blue buff, the wave, whatever first, before you go for the totem. It should kind of be the last thing on your mind. So I'm going to go right into a breastplate of valor this game. I'm going to get rid of all these bonus health pots. I didn't end up needing them, which is very nice. I'm going to grab myself 2 wards so I can start to get some deep vision out. I'm going to start warding at their blue buff and their back heartbeat, so I have those respawn timers, and I'm going to play aggressive into their jungle and start to steal some farm away from their jungler. after I clear and proxy farm these waves. We grabbed ourselves the Breastplate of Valor for 2 reasons. 1, Artio needs cooldown, and she needs it quickly. So that is going to help us get there. And 2, we are against a physical damage character in our solo lane. And so we've got a Hercules, and we are against a Kali. So we're going to be building that physical defense for against both of them at the same time. Now I'm just going to run in here and make sure we take this tower. I'm not at any risk of this Hercules killing me. I'm not really even going to focus on him. What I want to do right now is I actually want to start focusing on this wave, and then I want to rotate over and take some of that jungle farm. You can see Kali has made her way over to this jungle farm, so I don't think I'm going to get there in time, but the idea is to get out these deep wards, so that way I can rotate into their jungle and take whatever I need. For our third item, we're going to be going into the very standard solo laner item, Stone of Gaia. This is an item you should basically be building every time in the solo lane just because of how stat efficient that it is. But on top of that, it is going to be extra good this game because of the passive effect that we are going to be getting from Stone of Gaia. Every time that Hercules plucks us, every time an Anhur jumps on us, whatever, we're going to be proccing that Stone of Gaia. So we've got a lot of good, effective ways to be proccing it in this match.
Stay back, stranger.
For our final leveling order here in Artio, we get that 1 max out first, then we get our 3 max out. At this point, some people like to put a couple of points into the ultimate just to get some of that bonus movement speed, to get some of that MP5. Me personally, I just like to rank up the 2. Reminded that the 2 gives you protections on the bear stun. A lot of people forget this. While it should mostly be used as an offensive ability, if you're like 1 HP, you're about to die, or you're maybe I'm about to get raw sniped, right? And I'm like, oh no, he's about to snipe me. I'm at like 300 HP. It's gonna be close. I can go ahead and pop that stun, and I'll gain those bonus protections for that moment, and it might help me live through whatever damage that they are going to be outputting. So don't forget that it is going to give you those bonus protections. Not really worried about taking the tier 2 tower in the solo lane. You really don't want to position yourself up, especially this early at the tier 2 tower. I'm much more concerned about continually running into their jungle and taking their farm over and over and over again. That's going to put them a lot farther behind than necessarily playing super far forward and getting potentially picked off underneath the tier 2 tower. For our standard ability order, it's going to start off one of 2 ways. We're either dashing right into the fight at the start, or we're starting with our 3 in our druid form. I would recommend starting with the 3 in your druid form if you can, because that'll let you use your 3 in bear form as an escape if you need to. So we start off with our 3 in druid form. That is going to root the target. Chances are they're probably not going to beads the root, because who wants to beads an Artio root, right? That's kind of lame. Which should give you an opportunity to run right up to them, smack them with your 1. Right after you're done smacking them with your 1, you're probably going to go ahead and throw down your 2. This is going to cripple them, which is going to keep them in range of you. After that, you're going to switch over to your bear form. Now they're probably considering using their beads because you've crippled them, and that cripple is going to last for like 6 seconds or something crazy. 4, what? How long does this thing last? Where's my? I'm going to click the button.
Now you run.
How long is this lasting for? Oh my god, it lasts for forever, dude. It's disgusting. It lasts for forever and a half. So they're definitely going to be beating that. God, that ability is so good, man. After that, you're going to switch over into your bear form. You're going to be smacking them with your claws. Save that dash. If they try to jump away, dash away from you, perfect. Now you dash right at them. You catch right up to them. I'm going to start to root this Hercules for my Thanatos. Smack that too. So now he is crippled. He cannot go anywhere. Waiting to use my stun until I'm a little bit closer to that cripple running out. Right when that cripple is about to run out, that is when you want to go ahead and use your stun to maximize your CC. You preferably do not want to stun while your cripple is going, just because you basically are combining two forms of CC, and you're not going to get maximum efficacy out of both of them. Now we're backing it right on up. We're getting ourselves a Stone of Gaia as our third item, and we are grabbing ourselves a Thorns, and we are going to rank up that Thorns quite quickly. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to start ranking that up immediately. Now looking at their team comp, they do have quite a bit of healing, quite a bit of sustain, and I'm going to need some magical defense this game. So I'm going to get right into a Pestilence.
This should keep them away.
If they didn't have so much sustain, so they've got a Ra, a Hercules, a Terra. Don't forget the Kali heal also counts as a heal, so getting anti-heal will reduce that Kali passive. If I didn't need a Pestilence right here, I would either get myself into a Stone of a Genji's Guard for the increased CDR, or I would get myself into a Oni Hunter's Garb for those percent mitigations. Stacking Oni Hunter's Garb as well as Spirit Robe in the solo lane is always a good, strong bet for frontlining. Now, a more aggressive item that you could have looked into this game, if you wanted to go more damage oriented, I'm just going more frontline oriented. My team is doing plenty of damage, so my goal is to simply get up in front of people, be annoying, and try to peel for the boys with all of my CC, which is why I'm focusing so much on the CDR right now. I've got 40% with that blue buff on us. But if you wanted to get a Stone of Binding, Stone of Binding is also a fairly common item to pick up. If you're gonna get the Stone of Binding, I would recommend it be a little bit earlier in the game. So in this case, Hercules is stuck inside the Emoja ulti, so I wait to stun until right when the Emoja ulti is about to end. That way he is still CC'd, and then I switch over and I use my cripple right after that, just elongating the amount of CC. Always try to combine your CC for maximum length against the enemy team. So if I would have used my cripple while he was inside the Emoja ulti, that would have been a waste of my abilities. So I wait for the Emoja ulti to get right close to ending, and then I go ahead and use my CC abilities. Back to the Stone of Binding. If you're gonna get Stone of Binding, I recommend getting it in your first 3 items. It doesn't scale particularly well into the later stages of the game. By the time you get into the ultra late game, you're probably looking at something more like a Void Stone.
Don't come closer.
So if you're gonna grab that Stone of Binding for the early penetration, the early damage, go ahead and get that in your first 3. This game, it means I would have put off my Stone of Gaia, and I would have ended up getting it as a 4th item. Now, if I would have done that though, and if I would have gotten a Stone of Gaia 4th, then you would have to factor in that I wouldn't be getting anti-heal until my 5th item, and that is too late. So in games that you need anti-heal, you really need to make sure that your anti-heal is within your first 4 items. If you're in a more ganky lane, so if you're the mid laner or if you're the jungler, you really need to have that anti-heal in your first 3 items. So you should be getting boots, maybe 1 item, and then anti-heal. Preferably, you're actually starting going right into a divine, and your jungler is preferably starting going right into a brawlers. Now, over in the solo lane, in like support and ADC, these types of roles can actually get away with not going quite as aggressive.
Grip up.
They can get away with not going quite as aggressive. Does he already have a Lotus Crown? He already has. Okay. So I'm not going to make sure I double stack on the Lotus Crown. The Lotus Crown is actually fascinating on Artio, but I'm not going to overcap on that. What I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to invest into the anti-heal this game. So Lotus Crown does proc on Artio because you've got those heals in your Druid form. And so you can provide a lot of protections to your team that way, as we were going this team-oriented build. But I'm actually going to start going into a Divine Ruin. Because we already have the Lotus Crown on the Emoja, I don't want to stack up with the Lotus Crown because she's going to be able to proc this really, really efficiently. But I don't mind ever. You should never mind double stacking up on anti-heal, especially in this meta. At the end of the day, you're probably going to be attacking different targets. You're going to be one of you might not be in that exact fight. One of you might be a little bit farther back. One of you might be dead. So there's nothing wrong with stacking up on your anti-healing items. So Terra just used her dash right there. So I'm going to go ahead and pop down my root on him. He's going to have no way to get away because we already saw him use his movement abilities. Now, right now, we can basically tank anything that we want. We're just going to be using our 3 right now as a zoning tool. I'm going to be tanking this Phoenix. I do not have a care in the world. I'm going to dash right at this ant here and go for the stun. I see that he's using his ultimate, so I'm going to throw down the cripple right on top of him. He uses the impale to get away from me. That's a smart play. We could go into the Titan room right now. It's a little bit risky, but we do have a Yamoja, so it's not entirely risky. They've got fairly low cooldowns right now. Trying to get in range of the Kali for the cripple so she can't jump back into her Phoenix, but she's going to be able to. I'm going to look for a blink cripple right here. Trying to get on the Artio and everybody. I'm just going to get all up in their business. I'm going to pop my thorns and just kind of start walking at everybody. All I'm trying to do right now is generate some zones for my team so that they can be hitting the Titan. I'm going to walk right back in, throw down my cripple, throw down all the CC that I can provide. The Titan is once again back on me, so I got to be a little bit careful. Our focus on the Titan right now is a little bit lackluster, but hopefully we're going to be able to bring this down. Gonna go ahead and pop my stun right here just for the protections. I got Emoji healing me up. Should be able to dash right back in and grab ourselves that Titan. So we were finishing up that Divine Ruin right there for even more anti-heal. So we had our Pestilence and our Divine Ruin. Moving into our later items. For our 6th slot item, it would have depended on who was getting quite big that game and what exactly they are building. An item you should always be keeping your eye on is a spectral armor. Spectral armor is extremely important right now if the enemy is building crit. Now, not everybody is going to be building crit right now, so you just have to keep an eye on their builds. But if they do start to build a lot of crit, this team was liable to. They had an ant here, they had a Kali. Make sure you grab that spectral armor. Otherwise, I like to go into more percent type mitigations. We talked about it earlier. The Oni Hunters, the Spirit Robes, those types of items are very, very strong. Moving into the late stages of the game, everybody's going to have things like Kins. They're going to have a bunch of percent penetration. So the way that you make yourself tanky in the ultra late game is to give yourself percent mitigations, guys. And that is our Artio solo guide.